Here's today's fit check. It's raining. And then here is Toasties that I had for breakfast. Here is the bagel and wrap. The wrap was so good. All right, this is gonna be like take 87, I think. But good morning from Times Square. Went hurried and got out this morning to make sure I could be on the first bus, to make sure I can get to my meeting point for my tour with enough time. So did get some breakfast. All right, like I said, I think we're on now 58. But went and had some breakfast at Toasties, which was really, really good. I kind of looked around to see bagel places because you can't come to New York and not have a bagel. So I had Toasties, but I had a breakfast wrap, and then I still have my bagel in my bag for like a little snack for lunch. And yeah, so now on the bus, trying to get everybody who's new to the bus used to the bus. It's kind of fun, but now headed down to the 9/11 Memorial, where I'm doing like a 5-hour guided tour through the memorial, the museum, and then the Observatory of World Wonders. So can't wait to see all that. But for now, I'm gonna ride the big old bus. So this is what happens when you use the bus as the transportation and not just a tourism thing. They had the Statue of Liberty stop, and everyone got off the bus. And then there's me. So the tour person came up and was like, "Sure you're not going to the Statue of Liberty?" And I was like, positive. So I have the bus to myself now. Insider tip, get to the bowl early. There's no line. All right, so I have made it to where my tour is. A little wind blown. A lot of good people watching, I will guarantee you that. But here at the World Trade Center, the new transit, and this is where we're meeting. St. Paul's Cathedral, or chapel, whatever it is. But it's right here, so I have a little bit of time. I got here in perfect time, so yay! But just gonna walk around and see what there is to see. Here's the bell that is given by England. They ring it on September 11th. Here is the transportation hub with World 1 behind it. This is the inside of the transportation hub. It is absolutely massive and beautiful all at the same time. And there are so many hidden little gems. So the windows are lined up so you can see one world, and also the shadows make it 2 towers on the floor. It's really cool. Here is the beginning of the Firefighters Memorial, which is on the fire station that's right across the street. We actually got to talk to some of the firefighters. This is the Greek Orthodox temple church that was rebuilt here on the World Trade Center. It smells wonderful in here. Probably the scented candles. This building was rebuilt after the attacks. It is absolutely gorgeous inside and out. So these are now from the garden, which is across the street. This statue was in between the 2 buildings. And there's a lot of just kind of reflection areas. And now this is where the memorial starts. It is in the footprint of where those 2 buildings were. This is the survivor tree, which they had saved and then rehabbed and brought back. The reflection pools. Only one of the water things was working. The white rose means it's his birthday today. Here I am on the memorial grounds. This is the North Tower. The water is running. There's the museum. And then the southern one is back, South Tower one is back there. but the water fountain is not running. But this is also for all of the ones that have died since. There's like all this like brick area and things like that, since their names will not be engraved on here. And now it's time for the museum part. Here's a picture of what it used to look like, and then one of the time frames of like what was and what would be. This is one of the beams that was at the site, and then this was the dedication like cornerstone after the buildings were built. Here's some of the twisted facade in steel. These are the stairs that they had climbed down in the building. Here are like the bases of the old buildings. This was part of the satellite that was up the top of the buildings. And then this was an elevator like gear. This was one of the fire trucks that was parked out front. This was part of the seawall that held the building. Okay, so I'm not somewhere where there's water. I am in an elevator going all the way up to the top of World 1. My ears are already popping, but they also play a video on your way up. So here we get to go see it over the city. Oh, my ears are popping. This is like a gauge of how high you are. And then this is where they play a video in the beginning, and then the ending is spectacular. Here are some photos that I took from the observation level. There are windows, so there's going to be glares. And it was definitely overcast, but still you could see so far. There's Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty. This is when you can really tell that it's an island. You can see all the water that surrounds Manhattan. You can still see it so far. It's crazy how far you can see. And then how like detailed some buildings still are, even from this high up. This is what it looks like from the top looking down. All right, gonna do a quick check-in from the top of World 1. Whatever it is now, the tallest building that is at the World Trade Center site. Skyline is behind me. Got done with the walking tour. That lasted about an hour and a half. And then I went into the 9/11 memorial and museum part, and that I was in for 2.5 hours. So I took a long time to get through there, but it was a lot of fun. A ton of history to read, a ton of people also. So take your time. I did not do the audio tour, but I think if I would go through it again, I would probably do the audio tour just so I didn't have to read as much of what they were showing and things like that. But there were a lot of areas where they don't allow videoing or photography, so what you see is not all of what is there by far. Tons of mementos and like personal artifacts that they have found and things like that. So informative. They have one part like where you walk through the timeline of what happened that day, and that gave you the feels and kind of brought back a lot of memories and things like that. But definitely do it if you are here and you have the time. So glad it was on my bucket list and my had to do item when I came to New York City. So now I'm going to try and find the big bus to go get luggage to head back over to Jersey. And we might stop for a snack or two on the way. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's continue this adventure while I continue to make memories and not dreams and live every day as a gift, because that's what it is, thanks to my donor. So I timed coming down out of the elevator, and it took less than 45 seconds. All the way from 100 plus floors all the way down to the ground floor. So super fast, ears pop both ways. All right, so are you having fun on my whirlwind tour that I'm doing here? You just never know where I'm going to pop up for the next segment. But I am now in Jersey. So went and rode the big bus around New York City and went back to the hotel to pick up my luggage. One good thing about the OYO on Times Square is they have free luggage hold of course, tip the luggage guy, but they do hold your luggage. They will not hold it overnight, but they will hold it up until I think like 10, they said. So yeah, definitely used that and worked really, really well. Then got my luggage, grabbed an Uber, and then headed over here to Jersey. I'm actually in Newark, Elizabeth. So yeah, but here is Courtyard, Newark, Elizabeth, and it's real close to the airport, just off the highway. But here is the room, bathroom, a nice little like changing area, closet area, and the sink. A nice spacious bathroom part. It does have a tub. Amenities. And then the room. And this was actually booked through the company that I am contracted with. So that's why it has the 2 beds instead of just 1, because they did a block of rooms. And then whoever wanted one for the night got one. But super, super spacious. Really like it. A lot of kind of amenities. A big coffee thing. And then the mini fridge. So yeah. Here is the room, and the room number is 442. Good evening from Jersey. I am here in Elizabeth, New Jersey, right outside Newark, and it is the end of day 2 of the lovely adventure of traveling to Liberty of the Seas. But made it over here, went and met up with my group leader, and then we went out to dinner, just kind of got to know each other a little bit more, and some of the other staff. Now back at the hotel, I am going to get repacked because I have to make sure I have what I need for my day tomorrow, and then shower up and rest up because tomorrow starts the wonderful adventure of my first working cruise. So we shall see. But today was a great day. I loved going and exploring New York City and all of that. Breakfast at Toasties was chef kiss. It was really, really good. Too bad I couldn't try that a little bit more, and especially like for other meals, because it was really good. I did try the bagel that I got, and it was a true New Yorker bagel. So it was a really, really good. Let's see, the big bus, again, no hiccups, even with the rain in the afternoon that there was. Still went easy going, plenty of seats, things like that. I love the big bus. I will always stay to take a big bus in the new cities you go to. But then the tour of the 9/11 Museum, Memorial, and then the observation at One World, whatever they call that new building that is right next to the memorial, was absolutely amazing. It was listed for 5 hours, and I will say it was all of that. The actual like guided tour part was an hour and a half with the guide that had experience of the day of 9/11 and just kind of how she remembers the events and what she was doing that day and things like that. She was over on the Jersey side, but her husband, now ex-husband, was down in the lower Manhattan area. Actually, I think he was at like World 7 maybe. So yeah, it was just very interesting to hear how on the Jersey side phones and trains and all that were working, but then down in Manhattan no phone calls were getting out. Trains, buses, tunnels, all of that were completely shut off until they started doing the boat rescues. So really interesting to hear that part. I will say one of the main things I learned at the memorial is where they have all of the names etched in like the footprint of the buildings, the names that have the white rose stuck in them, it is actually their birthday. And there is someone or a group that goes along, and every day, they go and they put the white rose in that person's name to celebrate their birthday here 24 years later. So that is absolutely amazing. I love that little they are not forgotten kind of thing. So it was very interesting to see just some of them, like their families come by and put pictures or other decorations kind of on their name, and just a way to remember. But then the museum, oh my goodness, there were so many people. But I will say, even though there was a bunch of people and you kind of had to wait, it was spread out enough that you didn't ever feel super cramped or claustrophobic. You just kind of waited a little bit and it would empty out to where you could actually read and all that. I will say the next time I go to it, or if I go and recommend it, get the listening tour, because then I don't think you would have to read as much and you could kind of more easily walk through the museum there. But there's not like a one-way path through the museum either. So it follows in the footprints of the old buildings. So you kind of like do a swoop of the south, and then you do a swoop of the north. And then there's like a middle section that has some things, but tons and tons of information. I really liked how one of the exhibits went and walked you through the timeline of the day and things like that. And I mean, it went even down to showing you like the flight plans and like how it reversed back to come back and make the terror and all of that. And then there was one section where they focused on the terrorists themselves and kind of like how long they were in the US and planning it and what they had done to plan, like the multiple like recruit flights, things like that. I will say that I did not spend a whole lot of time in that area. I prefer to remember the ones that we lost. So that's where I spent the majority of my time, but I did walk through there because it's along the path. And there are certain parts of the exhibit that will have like red warning labels on them, and that's like the super emotional, might be some triggering kind of things. I know one of the sections was where they focused on all the people that were above the crash sites in the buildings and how they chose to try to escape. So you actually saw them falling from the buildings, and they would pause them to where you could see like their body mechanics and things like that. But that had a huge warning on it. So if you're sensitive to that, make sure to look out for the red warnings before you enter like a cove area. But you could spend hours and hours and hours there and not even like get the whole realm or anything. There's so much information, but the artifacts and just seeing how a huge fire truck was literally just mangled and burned and twisted. Just the sheer power is just crazy. And then other things that look like you could be used right away, books, things like that, eyeglasses, all that kind of stuff. But definitely go. Like when I was telling people I was at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, like they kept asking, well, isn't it sad? Isn't it like depressing? And I kind of took it as the part of, I was kind of proud to go and like remember and to honor those that were lost and to learn some of their stories and things like that. And when you go in one of the memorial rooms, it has pictures of everyone that was lost during the attack. And there's little computer screens or like TV screens down below, and you can click on their picture and it will bring up a whole bunch of information, their obituary, news stories, voice recordings from families, all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed learning about the people themselves and like kind of what put them there. Were they a firefighter? Were they a police officer? Were they on the planes? Because those were also included. Just things like that. And then just kind of seeing their pictures of like family and all that kind of stuff. So huge thing. Spent hours. But yeah, definitely worth it. And then the observatory up at the top of World One World, whatever. That was really cool. It was a little overcast, but you can see for so far, and you can like actually see that it really is an island out there. You can see the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, a whole bunch of the boroughs, all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. They do have a lot of like upgrades up there of photo packages, like a little tablet that you can use to like identify buildings, all that. I didn't do any of those. I just went up and did the Outlook and kind of looking at all the buildings and taking pictures and stuff like that. But it was cool. I was glad that it was kind of included. So I went from literally like the before kind of aspect of it, and then all the way up to how we've rebuilt and carried on the legacy and remembrance of everybody. So it's kind of cool, but so much fun. But plan for a whole day down there because you can spend that amount of time. But other than that, it is a good travel day. Now time to get ready for work. So tomorrow I will be boarding Liberty of the Seas here out of Cape Liberty Port, or Liberty Port. It's out of Jersey, but I've never sailed out of here before, but I've heard it's a pretty easy port to get in and out of, so hopefully. But as far as like other blog series, I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to video, so hold tight. I will try to video and vlog as much of the cruise as I can, but it is a working cruise, so we'll see. But I am definitely gonna make those memories and not dreams and live every day as a gift, because that's what it is, thanks to my donor. And I can't wait to meet some new friends. So we'll see how this goes. See you on the ship.